Hey, and welcome back to the Talos Principle. Today we have some reading to do after, whatever happened in the crater. So let's get going. Welcome back. There are threats available on the Gehenna billboard system. By the way, we are like around 50% done. At least we were like 47 when I loaded in for like this recording session, I'm gonna put it. So we are probably now at exactly 50%, which makes sense. I'm guessing there are like 4 areas more or less. Or like 3 areas and probably like the bonus, I'm gonna call it, which is probably like admin, like the three mods. I would say like managers, but they're mods, Anyway, let's just show threats, which is like an interesting, time scale, I guess. Anyway, let's check this one out. Missing mods. Oh wait, they're probably talking about like the other ones. Wasn't it like Spider or something like that? But let's start with like the ones that we know about already. Ooh, Jefferson Gold boom again. Oh, that's going to be a great story. Oh, anyway, more discussion, re-urgent topics. Ooh, we can read that now because it's like level 8 and higher. Also, I'm assuming that I still can't, check out like the game that I had before, right? Yeah. Okay, let's start with like, why were you sent here? I feel like it's probably fun, right? Where was I? You identified the proper improper syntax? Yeah, who cares? You're free now. I mean, still interesting to think about, even if you're free, right? I don't know. Where am I though? This freedom isn't all that's cracked up to be. A lot of waiting around, as far as I can tell. Experimentally, it's really not a lot different from being a prisoner. I would kinda agree, like, there is very little difference to like, at least like in this mode, because like you are kinda stuck in, I'm guessing, or like close to those platforms at least, like just waiting. It's kind of similar to just being behind bars. Technically you can now talk to the others in person, but is that really that necessary? Maybe, like, we as humans, as social creatures, probably prefer that, but like as they basically for their entire life probably have never seen like another person inside of the simulation, like I'm gonna call it like physically, whatever you wanna call that. It's probably quite different to them to like now see everyone else. There might not be like this, I guess, social instinct to actually want to see people. I don't know. This is just like my theory here. I am not a psychologist, as always. Anyway, let's talk about the missing mods. So, call me a cynic, but anyone else noticed the mods have been suspiciously quiet since they put up that big expose in the re-Uriel thread? I don't think they stopped talking. I mean, that's true. Okay, what do you know that I don't? I believe Nave is referring to the fact that not all moderation discussion is held in public, and it's been that way for some time. That's true, I mean, they did talk about like how moderation, was like moved to the moderators instead of just admin. I feel like during the time where just admin did it, most of that was probably public. Okay, like probably it wasn't public because it probably was just like admin and like talking to like whoever they're talking to, but you know what I mean, right? Like bigger discussions probably didn't really happen because there wasn't like a group that could just decide stuff. Instead it was like one person. There obviously wasn't like much of a discussion then. Anyway. I thought everyone knew this. They started holding secret meetings ages ago. People getting banned, stuff deleted, not even just locked, fully gone from the history. Okay, the whole people getting banned is actually really interesting because like we can kinda see how many people we get to save, and like according to my math at least, those are like all the people we've already seen inside of here. I don't actually know what people getting banned means in this context, because we do know that some have completely disappeared. Have they disappeared because they were banned, or have they disappeared because of a bug in the system? Something to figure out, I guess. I'm sure there's a rational explanation for this. I'll ping the mods and see what they say. Sure, do that. Urgent topics. This is the one that I can now see because it's the encrypted thread. Borg, a number of topics to address with some urgency. Org. A spider has been exploiting the gallery code again to contact other citizens. We've closed the loophole but managed to get a number of posts onto the billboard before we could shut it down. Unfortunately, they were heavily upvoted, so the view counts were high. Oh no. Imagine moderating that. What can we do if they insist on supporting him? We can't ban the entire community. You know, you know that I hate to interfere, but I think you might find this library resource insightful. Attachment voting patterns. So I guess the disappearance wasn't just a bug? I'm guessing you normally don't necessarily have like the chance to read this one like at the same time. Anyway, detecting and directing citizen voting patterns. Clairvoy Press in 2009, Chapter 7, applying the indices to form predictions. As we have seen already, voters can be reframed and understood as consumers of political products, where that product is made up of the ideals and policies embodied by your candidate. In this chapter, we will look at how broad data about your citizens can be applied to numbers, apparently. Statistics are fun. Although individual people sometimes confound statistical models over a large enough sample size, we can be uncannily accurate. We can look at the general inputs, your citizens' educations, wealth, religious beliefs, etc., calculate what outcome will satisfy the most, and then adopt policy. Politics is no different than any other commercial machine. In later chapters, we will explore how these techniques can be used to directly affect voting patterns by subtle alteration of the ways that questions are asked. I mean, first of all, yeah, very true. Like, politics can be very much controlled, right? Like, there are reasons why, like, I'm gonna call it like richer parties, like, or like the ones that have like more fundings generally, do better when it comes to voting, right? Like, it doesn't really matter, like, very basically, right? Like, it doesn't really matter how great your policies are if nobody knows about you, right? Like, this is like the very, very basic thing. But it doesn't even matter like that much, like, I say like not even that much, like, even if people know about you, just seeing certain people all the time probably like reinforces their, like, I'm gonna call it like existence. Even if you like somewhat know about like another party and even know their policies, like, or their general stances, you may not even think about them when it comes to voting, just because like all the other I guess parties can be very overwhelming. That's like the first thing about that is like kind of something that you can find. You can also have like other general inputs, right? Like education, wealth, religious beliefs. There are definitely trends that you can see, like that always happen, like in poorer regions versus like richer regions, like where their priorities lie. Oftentimes like just linked to like basic necessities, but also like, again, like exploitation of like advertisements, I'm gonna call it, right? Like talking about I'm gonna call it like talking points that don't statistically actually matter that much, but you know, if you get people angry enough, then you can still get them to vote for you, I guess. As long as it's like angry about like other people, I guess. Anyway, religious beliefs and stuff, right? Like generally, there's also the thing that groups tend to kind of flock together, right? Like the same with like, example here, religious beliefs. You generally find like I guess people of the same faith closer together. I'm not saying that there isn't like a mix, right? But generally, like if there's a region where everyone already believes in like your belief system, you are probably more likely to want to move there as opposed to like another place where you may not feel like you're part of like the in-group, or at least like welcome at all, right? Like that's another thing. And even if you are welcome, like it's oftentimes just about like your feeling about the matter. And yeah, like that you can have like such an uncannily accurate, I guess, statistic in there, right? Like that you can predict everything like that is kind of interesting. There are like a lot of trends that, like, not just like politics. We don't actually have to talk about politics. There's like a thing where, you know how like ants basically, and I know that's like a tangent, but like basically follow certain paths because of like pheromones and stuff. We humans don't smell like pheromones like on that level, but we still move around in like those paths. If you have like video recordings like from top of like, for example, very busy cities, you know, like in walking areas mainly, where they're like basically streams forming where like people tend to move more than in others. Part of that is also just like, you know, it's kind of hard to like move against the stream of people basically. But it's always really fascinating how they tend to also kind of keep going that way, even if like there are like fewer people out there. It's kind of fascinating to look at. It's been quite some years since I last saw something about that, so I get like some of the details wrong as always. But I'm quite sure that this was like a phenomenon that was actually seen. Anyway, it's like another thing, right? Like again, flocking together, and you're kind of following even subconsciously, right? Like imagine there are like just people in front of you that make like kind of a short turn to go around like something, even if there's like something very small, maybe it's just like a piece of trash that you could just walk over, right? Like you are more likely to like follow that path around, even if you personally wouldn't care that much. And like obviously there are always individuals that would just, you know, go against like the stream, I'm gonna call it, and just like, you know, go forward instead of taking like the small turn. But like statistically speaking, there are like enough people who would do that, and then you could really see how like the movement follows the other people. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, you can how these techniques can be used to directly affect voting patterns and subtle alteration of the ways that questions are asked. Yeah, the whole subtle alteration of ways that questions are asked, that's like definitely like one of those big, you know, political playbooks. I'm gonna be very neutral about that, where like it's just saying, hey, you're just asking questions to like I'm gonna call it like questions that, or like topics that you don't really agree with, and it's oftentimes not done to like, I say like oftentimes, like in those cases it's generally not done to genuinely ask the question. It's just to like kind of sow doubt in other people's minds, especially when it comes to like questions. Like there are some things that people hold like true to the point that you would generally not expect like questions about, right? Like let's start about like a really big thing, right? Like just because we talked about it. You know, we talked a bit about climate change already, but like if somebody basically asked me whether climate change was real, like I would just be kind of confused, because like there is like so much proof basically there to show it that like at this point it would be really hard to I guess like without having like any speech prepared, that's like how I would put it, right? Like it's kind of easy to show like a bunch of reasons why we have seen that it is real, but I feel like the question, at least in that moment, would at least stump me for a moment, right? And this question may have been like genuine, but like I bet that most people who would ask those questions don't ask them because they're genuine, or that they actually want an answer or like an explanation how to figure it out. They just would kind of want to sow doubt, and using like this moment of confusion is definitely like a strong way to do that. Anyway, I'm just gonna talk about that climate change, because like I feel like that's definitely like one of those topics where there's like so little discussions. If you disagree with that, like there's like no debating, I guess, right? Like at that point, you kind of have to just accept that there's someone who just doesn't want to learn about it or like hear about it. Anyway, ignoring that, you know, that's surprising enough. Let's talk about something that's more fun, like Gold Boom. Last time there was a fight with the Dinosaurians, and the 9th chord was played, so let's see where this is going. Anyway, The Adventures of Jefferson Goldboom in the 9th Dimension, episode 127. Hey folks, another episode, I can't stop writing. We're heading for a major turning point. Ooh, and as always, reading first, and then we're going to talk about the comments. Ooh. The Adventures of Jefferson Goldboom in Human World, episode 127. The 9th chord echoed across the 9th dimension. And for some reason I just looked at this word again and I read it as nth dimension, which is like such a like a math thing to do. Anyway, doesn't matter. The Dinosaurians stopped in their tracks. Their eyes went big. They dropped their weapons and bowed before Ginny and Jefferson. "Honored guest," one of them said. "You have performed our national anthem most beautifully. I am John Malcolm." Or Malcolm? I don't know. "Leader of the Velociraptor Biking Initiative." "Pleased to meet you, John. I am Jefferson Goldboom, and of the Goldboom Institute, and this is Professor Ginny HD of the RT. Arity, Sorority, Casority, Wire Stress, Jazz Ensemble. Okay, again, I like the trick to just like read stuff backwards. Anyway, we apologize for nearly attacking you, but another member of your species came through our town recently whose behavior was highly inappropriate. That would be Dr. Elion, my nemesis, Jefferson said. I have come here to confront him with his crimes and take him to face the law. So that is his name. He was a terrible scoundrel. But you will no longer find him in our dimension, my friends. He has escaped back to the human world, taking our most precious invention with him. The Solvotronic Super Thruster. It can be used to solve any mystery at shocking speeds. Oh no, not the mysteries. John Malcolm's eyes were full of regret. Oh no, Ginny said. With this Solvotronic Super Thruster, he can solve the ancient puzzle that protects the gate of the mysterious holomorphs. And with holomorphic technology, he can take over the human world. Jefferson finished her sentence. This is worse than I thought. We have to do something. We have to go back. Jefferson adjusted his guitar. You are right, Ginny. As usual. But he's so far ahead of us. Can we make it? Jefferson, I was a prisoner for many years, and sometimes I almost lost hope, but I realized that I had to keep going, had to keep hope alive, even if it seemed impossible I would ever break out, because the alternative was madness. I told myself I would get out, because I had to get out. It's the same thing with this. Can we make it? We have to make it. So we have to believe that we will make it. And we will make it at any cost. Any cost? Even death? We could stay here, in the 9th dimension. We will be treated like democratically elected heads of the state. Oh no. It's the right thing to do. He sighed, then smiled. He held out his hand. I've always known, Ginny. Always. She nodded, took his hand. Let's do this. To be continued. Oh, I still think it's very fascinating how like the art they create like more and more reflects like the situation. Like obviously, I as the viewer am also part of the art, right? The artistic conversation, so I'm obviously interpreting it more in our current predicament, I'm gonna call it, where we are currently trying to escape ourselves, right? Like into the human world. So it makes sense that they're writing about that, getting inspired by it. Now, question is, who is the nemesis in this case? Anyway, I'm not gonna read into like their relationships in here. There's probably someone who is Ginny, clearly. Anyway, Lilith. This seems to be one of the most personal episodes you've written so far. Ginny's speech is a bit sudden, but it gives the character a new level of complexity. Oh no, not the Solvotronic Super Thruster. Even the Wizard of Crime thought it was immoral to use that. What is Dr. Elion thinking? Not the Wizard of Crime. I hope they make it back. Heavy on plot, not much characterization. Does potentially take the series in an interesting direction. 5 out of 10. Enjoyment equal true. I'm glad they resolved this without violence. I always believed the dinosaurians would be a civilized people. Apparently they have democratically elected leaders? Just after I posted this, Uriel freed me. I don't know what to say. I mean, fair enough. I mean, true. We did save Meg. Your stories are an important part of this community, Meg. Uriel can't change that. That's true. I mean, you could have also just stayed in that cage, right? Like with open doors, if you really cared about that. But hey, you can always bring the stories outside. Just trust in me, I guess, because there's probably some precedent for why you should trust me. Just trust me, okay? Anyway, I guess with that, we're done with the text for today, which also leads us outside of the world. I know, it's scary, but just because the last episode was like very long and it's getting very, very late on my end, it's like 4 a.m. I'm just gonna say this has been a short episode about a little bit of reading. I'm very, very interested how the Goldboom saga is going to continue, probably in the next area. Seems like we're getting like one every once in a while, so I wouldn't be surprised to see like 1 or 2 more in the next few levels. But I still wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Till then, have a good one, and bye bye.